Hello, my friends. We are going to embark on a journey today. This is something that I have really hoped would happen at some point because I've always just assumed that Beck had some tea, and it sounds like that's exactly what's happening today. Is that they are spilling some tea. So, I actually fell down the rabbit hole during the Beck administration, and from the very beginning, it felt like something was off. That they were miserable. And so we'll find out. We'll see what happens. It's basically Beck's response, and hopefully they can set the record straight.
Hello, I know it has been a long time since you guys have heard from me, and this is going to be a little bit of a different video than normal. I know you're used to seeing my face. I was really nervous to make this video, and I still am, but I thought it was really important to make it. So
I can imagine that they're super nervous because we know how Amberlynn reacts to these kinds of things. So good on them for really standing up. I'm glad that we're able to hear their voice. This is pretty brave.
I sat down and I wrote everything down to help me organize my thoughts so it would come out more clearly and I wasn't jumbling over my words or saying too much like I usually do. I'm just going to show you guys some speed drawings while I talk to you about what's going on and where I've been and so on. People have asked me a lot about why I don't make my own videos or live stream anymore. They want to know why I haven't used the platform that's been handed to me to make money. And the main reason is because this community, even though a lot of you have been kind and supportive, has been and is very harmful and toxic mentally for me. While I've grown as a person and have become more...
I can understand that because I think a lot of the community love Beck, but even the ones that love Beck are constantly pushing them to give the tea. Even the ones that are trying to be supportive and helpful are also toxic because they're more interested in hurting Amber than loving Beck. So that I can understand that. And of course there's also the just generally toxic people too.
Aware of the mistakes I've made in the past. It's become embarrassing to have ever been a part of Amber's life on and off YouTube. My goal after the breakup was to move on as an individual and separate myself from what happened in the past. But when that audience consists mainly of people who have heard of me from Amber's videos, separating the two while still existing online became impossible.
Yeah, that's what they're known for. And that's really what they're always going to be known for, unfortunately. But so their options are to either embrace it and just know that that's the case and use that as their platform to go forward, or to not be on the internet, which, probably mental health wise is probably best just to not be on the internet. But they've been given a great opportunity as a launch pad, but at the same time, like, is it worth it? I don't know. That's up to them.
A lot of people know of me from that time in my life, and I have had to accept that and keep moving forward. I went through a lot back then, and I made mistakes. It wasn't the person I wanted to be or who I am now. When I chose to go to Karina Kaboom's channel, it was because I wanted to tell part of my story in a way that was from a safer distance so that I couldn't be accused of being a grifter or profiting off of it just for answering some questions. I was offered no money from Karina's video, and I didn't expect any profit or fame from it.
That was brilliant. Because right now Lex is, of course, she's demonetized according to her, but that is still kind of farming clout and stuff like that. So, Beck did it the right way.
The reaction was still very mixed and hurtful, and I know I can't please everybody. I still felt like Amber's narcissism was being fueled by the people who would attack anyone remotely connected to her, no matter what role they played in her life. Even though she only keeps benefiting financially and growing her ego through this vicious cycle. It was discouraging, and I just stopped trying to speak up altogether. Even with the support of a lot of you, it was hard to not internalize the negative things being spread about me by Amber and others. I know that in my Q&A with...
Oh yeah, that's got to be impossible to just ignore. Even if you're not a creator on the internet or anything like that, just being on the internet, especially kind of where they've been on the internet, like, you can't get away from it.
With Karina, I talked about the money Amber owed me. I never did see any of that money and still haven't. For a while, I was in contact...
And I bet it's a lot. I bet Amber owes them a lot.
With an attorney who claimed to be able to help me get the money back that I earned working for Amber, but it wasn't possible to serve her anything without an updated address. More time passed, and with the distance growing between myself and the public, I just let it go. But recently, I was told that Amber has started talking about me again. And the more time that passes, the more she believes that I'm being quiet because I'm weak. She lies about me because she thinks that she has power over me.
Damn straight. Exactly. Man, I think everybody, no, I don't say everybody, but a lot of people have kind of come to that conclusion that Amber, that's why she treats Beck the way she does and has forever, is because she thinks that they're weak, right? And so now she goes on these tirades about Beck, and Amber's like, what are they gonna do? Of course, Amber is constantly misgendering Beck, which is just disgusting. Amber is a vile human being.
And that my fear of the public reaction will shut me up, and that everyone will be left with no choice but to believe whatever lies she spread. Well, she's wrong about me, and she no longer has that power over me. I want to be
Hell yes. Preach it.
the one who tells my story. I'm going to show a screenshot of a live that Amber commented on about me and address some things. But first, I want to point out that she continues to use an incorrect name, even though she has been told that I don't go by that name anymore.
And it's very clearly intentional. Like, she keeps getting corrected, and she keeps using the wrong name. She keeps dead naming Beck. Intentionally. Like, again, she is vile. She is just... And, it's like sometimes you want to kind of give her a pass because you think maybe she's just, I don't know, maybe we go too hard on her, but hell no. She is a horrible human being who needs to be held accountable.
I feel it's disrespectful to continue to call me by my old name, despite me saying myself that I now go by Beck, and her being corrected by viewers and reaction channels many times. I'm not surprised, however, as she has never respected me or anything I've said before now. She also used incorrect pronouns, but I understand that I've stated in the past that I was okay with she, they pronouns. I'm stating now that I only use they. So the first thing she said...
Cool. But Amber has never respected Beck. And it was clear. I mean, you could watch, like I said, I fell down the rabbit hole during Beck's time. And it was immediately obvious that Amber did not have any respect for really anybody, but especially Beck. She just thought she could walk all over Beck anytime she wanted. And unfortunately, she kind of could. Because back then, you could tell Beck had just been worn down. They had been pushed into having basically no self-esteem. And that was by design. That's what Amber does. Because she knows that she can control people that way.
Is when we broke up, I felt bad, so I let her have all the money she needed, but Feline didn't like that, which made sense. She gave me $100, and that's what I used to go get the U-Haul with, and I only had one day with that U.
And I would bet that Amber probably owes them like tens of thousands of dollars, because she was making a lot of money back then, and they did a lot of live streams together.
Trying to rush and pack everything that I could as quickly as possible, and I was running out of time, so I had a little breakdown and was crying about it, saying I didn't know how I was going to pay for extra time with the U-Haul because I didn't have the time to get everything, and she started laughing about it. So she was laughing about the fact that I couldn't afford to continue to have the U-Haul for longer. So no, she obviously didn't feel bad, and she didn't care at all. And she did not give me all the money that I needed, or else why would I have been struggling and crying about the fact that I couldn't afford to have the U-Haul longer?
Man, just when you think she can't get any worse, like, holy shit, like laughing at Beck, all the while Amber having so much money for doing nothing. Amber gets all this money. Beck was a big reason Amber did so well back then. And for her to laugh, knowing that Amber's got plenty of money to help them out, and just laughs because they can't afford the U-Haul. Like, I don't know why I'm surprised, but I keep getting surprised by how horrible Amberlynn is.
And about using the fundraiser money on my old car, that's exactly what I did. I got the car fixed because of that help, and I was extremely thankful for it. There was a little bit of money left over that I put toward bills like insurance and the car payment. The only portion used for anything else was the $12 or so that Amber begged me to give her for the Netflix account I'd still been using. I was able to drive that car up until a few months ago because of those donations. I wouldn't have been able.
Yeah, because now, and here's the thing: you have to think. Amber's out here saying that Beck didn't even use the donations on the car, like basically saying that Beck lied. And then you have Beck saying that Amber's lying. Which is more credible, right? Like, obviously, Beck, they've shown themselves to be the type of person who would do exactly what they say they're going to do and be appreciative when they receive donations and gifts and things. Whereas Amber is a selfish, heartless, smug, self-righteous bitch who doesn't give a shit about anybody but herself. So, let's see. Who could possibly be telling the truth? I'll never know. It's just, they said, she said. No, it's clearly Beck did the right thing, and Amber is just flat out lying, bro.
to do that without that help, and I will always be grateful for that. And side note, I did not have her debit card on me all the time. The only time I had it was whenever she would send me to do errands for her or to pick something up for her, and I always came back with a receipt.
Yeah, and of course, what does Amber expect, right? If she's going to sit on her ass, and this was during, at this point, this was around the time of the bedbound era. That happened during Beck's administration. So Amber was not going to go out and do anything, ever. She just didn't go out at all. So if she wants Beck to go do something for her, she's going to have to give her debit card or something. And at least Beck was smart enough at that point not to pay for stuff and then expect Amber to pay them back, because that's never going to happen. And Beck knew that was never going to happen.
To show her what had been bought with her debit card. The next messages say, "Gosh, I could say so many things, but I can't. She said she would sue me, so I have to shut up, but people would be shocked and not believe a word I say. Gosh, I wonder why they wouldn't believe you, Amber. You have a history of lying, and you're doing the same thing right now. You have nothing on me, and I know that."
Yeah, and that's why instead of actually spilling tea, Amber says, "Oh, there's just so much I could say, but I can't."
I did threaten to sue you, but that was to stop you from relentlessly talking about me like you were. You had no reason to talk about me. I've come out and said things only in response to you bringing me up. The threat to sue did not stop you, as seen in this screenshot. You haven't said these shocking things because they don't exist. Anything you...
Yeah, it was a scare tactic. Or it was really just Amber's too stupid to realize how obvious it is when she says, "I've got all this tea, but I'm just not going to share it." Then everybody's like, "No, you don't." Nobody believes that.
could possibly say truly would be a lie. I will no longer stay silent if you try to spread lies about me. I've told parts of my story, and it's all been true, and never said in an insulting way either. I have so many gross things that I've seen you do, both to me and the people in my life, that I've kept quiet about because those things are embarrassing or have something to do with very personal matters. Despite how you've treated me, I still have empathy. However, if you want to lie about me...
Why? Okay, Beck, here's the thing. I'm just going to throw this out there. Stop. Stop having empathy for Amberlynn. You don't owe her any empathy, At this point, it's clear she has none for you. So, I get taking the high road, but I think you understand that this is not going to end. It may never end, honestly. I guess no matter what they do, it may never end. But, really and truly, Amberlynn deserves no empathy at this point and no sympathy. So, I'm not just saying that because it would be interesting to know what you have to say, but I just don't hold that. Don't hold the empathy. I guess I don't know. Beck is a better person than I am because I would have lost empathy and sympathy for Amberlynn a long time ago.
I won't hold back. I'll be brutally honest about things I know about you. The next comment, she said she had a job that was ruining her back. I told her she didn't have to go through that. I was helping her. I made a lot of money and wanted to take that burden off of her. Yes, in the beginning, she did make it seem that me quitting my job would be beneficial for my health and that it wouldn't be so hard on me anymore. But I learned very quickly that whenever I did quit my job, that it was just a control tactic. She said she wanted to be the...
Oh, hell yeah. It was just so that she could keep an eye on Beck, make sure that they were just doing what Amber wanted them to do, and it was a way to make sure that they would be at her beck and call, right? That she could ring her little bell, and the thing is, Beck would do it. Whatever Amber wanted, Beck would do it because Beck knew that if they didn't, Amber would throw such a tantrum that it just wasn't worth it. And that was their life for years, was just doing lots of stuff that they didn't want to do in order to avoid all of the drama and all of the headache of Amberlynn's wrath, you know?
Main breadwinner, and all the things that she said I would be able to do, like see my family more, those things didn't happen. I was just stuck taking care of her. And whenever I talked about trying to get a job again, she would just guilt trip me and say, you know, well, I need you here. I need you help.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And think about this. So, and I think this is what Amber wants, period, is just to be able to say, I need somebody here to take care of me, and now I'm done. I can just sit back and eat, and I don't have to worry about, like, because as soon as she got Beck to be her handmaid, basically, she immediately was like, cool, I don't have to do jack. And that's when she gained so much weight that she was basically bedbound because she had a caretaker. Why do I need to do anything? I can just, all I have to do now is just sit and eat. And we're kind of seeing that with Emily. I think the only reason she hasn't gained more than 40 pounds is because they're separate and she still has to do some stuff on her own. But if they move in together, that won't be the case anymore. She'll be completely sedentary.
To help take care of me and to help me take care of them.
They probably didn't even realize how bad it was. But then looking back, they were probably like, man, I really was just a caretaker. But when, they were in the middle of it, they probably didn't really even think of it that way. Because Amberlynn is so manipulative.
The animals, she would just guilt trip me into not trying to find another job. And the only things she really would buy me is like food and candy and t-shirts. So
oh, and Amberlynn would just always talk about how generous she is. Like, look at all the t-shirts I bought. And it was always just tchotchkes and bullshit. It seemed like she was giving them a lot of money, but I mean, what we saw was probably all Beck ever got.
I mean, whenever I would try to save up change, she would say things like, is that your funds for when you leave me? So I would even stop saving change to avoid that conflict with her.
That's the manipulation. Holy shit. Like, it was constant. I mean, we're not surprised, right? When we look back at, and all of this is giving a lot of credibility to the Code Red Mountain Dew incident. This was an incident that happened back in the Destiny era. And if you don't know what that is, you welcome to the Amberverse. Welcome to Girl World. I'm glad to have you here. That's a story for another day. But this whole story makes it far more likely that the Code Red incident would have happened. I mean, think about how codependent and I guess, I don't know if it's a narcissism thing, but just how immature you have to be to, if your partner is just saving change, because everybody saves change, your immediate thought is, are you saving it so you can leave me? Like, that is a whole new level of codependent. Especially when Beck was just her caretaker.
And me quit.
And I guess that's why, is because Beck was her caretaker and she didn't want to have to find a new one.
Quitting my job wasn't about helping me. It was about controlling me and keeping me under her thumb. And she did keep me away from my family. And whenever I would go see my family, she would time me on when I had to be back. And if I wasn't back by that time, then it would be a fight for the rest of the night. And then the next time that I would try to leave to go see anybody else, she would guilt trip me and say things along the lines of, I didn't care about her and that I cared more about everybody else other than her.
Yeah, we've heard Beck say that before. And I mean, just to hear them say it again, it's still shocking, like, what a terrible human being she is.
And then she said, if that makes me a bad guy, fine. I hear your opinion and it makes sense based off of what you know. but your opinion would probably change if you knew everything. I thought I was doing the right thing. If I could go back, I'd do everything differently.
And here we go, victim Lyn again. She was so horrible to Beck that she basically treated them like a slave. And then she comes out and says, "Oh, but it was just so bad for me, you guys." And she's lying. I mean, it's a lie. It's not like she's remembering things wrong. She's lying. She's just basically trying to make Beck look bad because that's what she does. That's just how she operates. Is if anybody ever says anything about her, she's like, "No, they're the bad one. Not me. They're the bad one. You guys would not believe what I had to go through," when Beck was the one that really went through it.
Saying if that makes me the bad guy is so obviously manipulative. You're framing what you did to me in this positive light so that it looks like your intentions were good when they weren't. You did a lot of bad. You said you'd do things different now, but you haven't taken any accountability. I feel like the only thing you would...
But she never will. That's just Amberlynn's style. She will never take accountability for anything, ever. And I think Beck knows that now, but I think it's taken them this long to realize that accountability just is not part of Amberlynn's life vocabulary.
Change is doing the exact same things in a way that would have made you look even better. And that's all I really...
Yeah, it would have been hiding things better, right? It would have been manipulating the situations better so that she doesn't look so bad, or that Beck couldn't come out and say anything about it. Or honestly, what I'm guessing she means is I would have had Beck sign an NDA. That's my guess, is what she's thinking right now.
Wanted to say about the screenshot. I just wanted to respond to that so it didn't seem like, she was able to spread lies about me and me not speak up and...
Good. And that's the thing, we're sitting here and we all know it's a lie, but without Beck to come in and confirm it, it's like we can just speculate all we want, but it doesn't really matter, and Amber can just continue lying. So hell yeah. Way to go, Beck.
Fight for myself like she probably expected I wouldn't do. And something else I wanted to talk about was I just found out today that she lost Rarity, and that breaks my heart. Rarity was very special to me. I loved all three of those animals.
And you could tell the animals loved them so much more than Amber. And so, honestly, at this moment, I would bet that Beck is much more heartbroken about Rarity than Amber is, or that Amber ever has been.
Very much. Rarity was like my little shadow toward the end. She followed me everywhere I went, and it was hard to even leave her. And I know when Amber talked about moving to Oklahoma, she was scared that she could only find a place that allowed 2 animals. So she considered giving me Rarity, but that's not what ended up happening.
Oh no. We are in the darkest timeline, aren't we? There is a multiverse version of our world where Beck got Rarity. Yeah, we picked the wrong timeline.
And I sometimes wish that I would have gotten her, because now who knows where Rarity is. Before I get to talking about myself, I want to leave some advice for anyone going through a narcissistic abusive relationship.
Hell yes. Thank you, Beck. Hell yes. She is not pulling punches. I know she's holding back some information, and I think she's doing that as a way to sort of give Amberlynn an opportunity to shut the fuck up. But this is what needs to happen, is they need to call a spade a spade. And that is exactly what they're doing. Hell yes. Good job, Beck.
Most important thing is that you don't feel isolated. That goes for any relationship. If you feel like something is wrong, but you don't feel like your partner wants you to tell anyone else about it, that is a red flag. That's when it's important to talk to you.
Yeah, Beck had family members try to do an intervention because family could see that they were miserable and that something wasn't right. There were a lot of red flags, but Amberlynn had her claws in them.
Your friends and family about what's happening. You can get so engulfed in abuse that you don't even see what's happening to you. Having an outside perspective and a good support system is key to finding the strength to leave. For a while now,
hell yes,
I've been focusing on myself and my loved ones. I live somewhere new. I have new friends and a new love and a new job that has been amazing and personally fulfilling. I've been finding new hobbies and working through my grief and dealing with my mental health, trying to live a normal life. In a few weeks, I go in for surgery to have a biopsy done on the lumps on my thyroid. I'm happy to finally be taking care of my health in that way. I've been more happy these past few months than I've been in years, but life still isn't kind or easy. My old car finally started to give out on me, and that was nerve-wracking. But through hard work and a bit of luck, I was able to finance a new vehicle. Unfortunately, I've been facing more hardships lately. Winter storms that this area hasn't seen in years had us snowed in for almost 2 weeks. A few days after returning to work, we started feeling sick and tested positive for COVID. I'm just now recovering, but because of all of that, I haven't been able to work my usual hours and have suffered financially.
That sucks. It seems like when it rains, it pours. But the silver lining with all this is they're going through it. They're having to deal with all this stuff. And I know that they feel kind of hopeless and helpless at times. But at least now they have a support system that actually cares. And they've got people in their life that can see them through and they can lean on each other. Because can you imagine if all that stuff was happening while they were still with Amberlynn? There's no telling where they would be right now. So, it's one of those this too shall pass sort of things. I mean, at least they're in a much better situation now than they were back with Amberlynn. And man, their art has really gotten better. I remember watching them, showing their doodles and stuff when they were with Amberlynn, and it was pretty cute. You could tell that they were a beginner, but man, they're getting good.
Just a couple days ago, on my way to get groceries, my car slid on ice while driving. The car went into a ditch, airbags deployed. The car landed on its side. Insurance deemed it totaled and does not cover rentals while the settlement is decided. Luckily, I'm physically okay, but I'm scared again for the future, unsure of how I'll be able to keep my job, get to work these next few weeks, how I'm going to get a different car if the settlement isn't more than what I owe, since I've only had this for 2 months, or pay upcoming bills. Circumstances right now are difficult. Before, I know this kind of thing would have felt like the end, like I'm going to lose everything all over again. But even though I can't see a clear path forward, I'm still hopeful. I've never before had that feeling that I could fight for my situation to get better until now. I'm glad that I've made the progress I have, even if this feels like a huge step backward. And I
That's it in a nutshell. It sucks, and this is going to be rough. I think the community can kind of come together and rally behind them, but all of that sucks. But at least they're not having to deal with Amberlynn on top of all that.
know people are going to say I'm begging on the internet again, but I'm trying to use this opportunity to clear some things up and help myself at the same time. I made this video because I know I can't entirely escape my past. None of us can. But at least maybe I can use it to try and better myself. It will be a month or two before I can make anything from this video, so if you want to help me out, I'll leave my Cash App in the description. You don't have to send money, but please be kind and think of me as a person who is trying, just like you. I'm not sure when I'll post again. I don't know if I'm built for constant content creation.
I don't think they ever really wanted to be on the internet as much as they were. I think they thought it would be pretty fun, but of course, who knows if it had been in a different situation, because they were catapulted into just a strange, mysterious world of gorlworld, and they were not trained for that.
Sometimes the burden of an audience can be all too much, but let me know if there's more you want to hear or see from me. Thank you for listening and taking the time to watch this. I hope you enjoyed the art that I was able to show you guys. I use Procreate, by the way. And I know it's been a long time since you've heard from me, and hopefully the next time you hear from me won't be so serious. Thank you for listening.
Well, I don't think it was anything new necessarily. I think it was just things we all knew but couldn't really, there was no real proof for anything. So it was good to hear them come out and actually lend credence to all the things we pretty much knew. And yeah, it turns out it's all true. Of course it is, because Amberlynn is despicable. She's horrible, and she doesn't deserve any empathy or sympathy. So I guess all I can say really is just fuck Amber. Fuck her. And good job, Beck. Hell yeah. I'm so happy that they felt comfortable coming out and saying this. I know it's scary, and I know that they're gonna get some hate, but anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.